Welcome to the Daily Financial News Roundup for January 4th, 2025. It's a new year, and we've got a lot to cover today. Lawsuits, tech predictions, and even a billionaire making waves in the sports world.
Sounds like it's going to be an interesting one.
Let's jump right in. Hasbro's facing a class action lawsuit from investors who lost, well, a lot of money between February of 22 and October of 23.
How much are we talking about here?
Over $100,000 each.
Oof, that's going to hurt. What's the lawsuit about?
Rosen Law Firm is claiming that Hasbro wasn't exactly upfront about their inventory and how much demand there really was for their products. So they're saying this misled investors and led to those big losses.
So it's all about transparency, or the lack of it.
Exactly. And speaking of lawsuits, MGP Ingredients is also finding themselves in hot water. Kessler, Topaz, Melter, and Sheck are letting investors know about a class action suit against MGPI for allegedly making some misleading statements about their performance.
Interesting. What kind of statements are we talking about?
Well, the lawsuit claims that MGPI didn't really tell everyone about a slowdown in how much people were buying their products, and that there was actually a surplus.
So investors thought the company was doing better than it was.
That's the gist of it. It'll be interesting to see how these lawsuits unfold. Now, let's move on to something a bit more futuristic. Microsoft's AI predictions for 2025.
Oh, yeah, I saw some headlines about that. What are they saying?
They're predicting some pretty big things, like even more powerful AI models, which isn't too surprising. But what's really caught my eye is the idea of AI agents and companions becoming a part of everyday life.
Like having a personal AI assistant.
More than just an assistant. Think about AI helping you make decisions, offering companionship, almost like a friend.
That sounds straight out of science fiction.
Right. It really blurs the lines. Microsoft also thinks AI is going to drive some big breakthroughs in science, particularly in medicine and sustainability.
That's pretty exciting. But with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Absolutely. Microsoft is emphasizing the importance of energy efficiency in data centers, given how much power AI needs. And of course, they're really stressing AI safety, making sure it's used ethically and responsibly.
It's a balancing act for sure. Harnessing the power of AI, but doing it safely. Now, for a little curveball, Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, he just sold his majority stake in the team.
Yeah, for a cool $3.5 billion.
Wow, that's a lot of cash. Why did he decide to sell?
He said it's a mix of family considerations and, well, the kind of scrutiny that comes with owning a sports team these days, social media and all that.
I can imagine being in the public eye like that can be tough.
But he's not totally out of the picture. He's keeping a 27% stake and will still be involved with the basketball side of things.
So new owners, but Cuban's still got a hand in the game. Speaking of big names, Warren Buffett's making headlines again.
City analysts are calling VeriSign a company that does domain registration and internet infrastructure, and that Buffett's backed a top pick for 2025.
I heard about that. Pretty optimistic predictions, right?
They're saying it could go up by 16%, maybe even 50%, all the way to $312 per share.
Wow. What makes them so confident?
Well, VeriSign basically controls the internet's address book. Every time you go to a website, they're involved. And with more and more businesses going online, their services are only becoming more vital.
So it's like owning prime real estate, but in the digital world. I see why they're excited.
And speaking of Buffett, remember his advice from back in 2015 about being patient and waiting for the right opportunities.
Zip up your wallet when the market's going crazy. It's good advice. Timeless, really.
Exactly.
So,
Now, on to a story that's a bit heavier. We have some news about the man behind that Tesla Cybertruck bombing in Las Vegas.
oh, right. Outside the Trump International Hotel, wasn't it? A terrible situation.
It is. The bomber, Matthew Livelsberger, left behind some notes that are, well, pretty disturbing.
What did they say?
He was calling for violence against Democrats, talking about purging them from the government and military. And he expressed some pretty strong admiration for figures like Trump, Elon Musk, and even Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
That's unsettling, a real reminder of how divided things are right now.
It really is. And it underscores how important it is to have open and respectful dialogue to try and bridge those divides. Now, for a story that might resonate with a lot of folks out there, especially small business owners, a man who recently sold his family's tire and auto repair shop shared his experience online, and it's gotten a lot of attention.
It must be tough letting go of a family business, especially one that's been passed down for generations.
It is. The shop had been in his family for 3 generations, and with the way the auto industry is changing EVs, big companies taking over, He felt it was time.
So what did he say about the experience?
He was really honest about the emotional side of things, how it wasn't just about the money, but about legacy, identity, and even a sense of belonging. And he also talked about the shock of suddenly having free time after decades of working nonstop.
That makes sense. It's a huge adjustment, even if it's a positive change.
Right. It really highlights the importance of having interests and routines outside of work, no matter how much you love what you do. Now, some sad news from the cybersecurity world. Tenable Holdings just announced the passing of their CEO, Amit Yoran.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear about that. What happened?
It was unexpected. He'd been battling cancer. Steve Vince, the CFO, and Mark Thurman, the COO, will be acting as co-CEOs for now while they search for a permanent replacement.
A big loss for the industry. Yoren was a true leader in cybersecurity. Hopefully Tenable can continue his legacy.
Speaking of leadership, Monteverdi and Associates are looking into a bunch of mergers for potential shareholder lawsuits.
Always something going on in the world of finance. What mergers are they concerned about?
A whole bunch, actually. Companies like Battery Future Acquisition Corp., Retail Opportunity Investments Corp., Innovid Corp., Evergreen Corp., the list goes on. They're looking into whether the deals are fair to everyone involved and if there was full transparency throughout the process.
Important questions. Mergers can be tricky. Now, for some good news, Business Headline Hindi, a news site focusing on, well, business and current affairs in Hindi, they just hit a big milestone.
1,000 readers in just over a month. That's fantastic.
It is. It shows there's a real need for accessible information in different languages. And they've expanded their team to 10 professionals and are even working with doctors to cover health and mental health issues.
That's really smart. Addressing those concerns, especially with all the stress around AI and jobs, it's a good reminder that behind all the financial news, there are real people dealing with these changes.
Okay, get ready, because we're diving into the whirlwind of consumer tech news.
Hit me. What's happening?
Well, the EU's USB-C mandate is officially here. All new phones sold in the EU got to have a USB-C charging port.
About time, right?
Definitely. Now, a security alert. There's been a breach at Cyberhaven, a data loss prevention startup. Turns out their Google Chrome extension got hacked.
That's not good. What happened?
Hackers got in and released a bad update that can steal passwords and stuff. So if you're using that extension, you might want to take a look at your accounts.
Good reminder to be careful about what extensions we install. What else?
Well, the TikTok drama continues. President-elect Trump is asking the Supreme Court to delay that law that could basically ban TikTok in the U.S.
So he's still holding out hope for a political solution.
Seems like it. But other countries aren't waiting around. Venezuela just hit TikTok with a $10 million fine for supposedly not doing enough to stop those dangerous viral challenges.
Interesting to see how differently countries are handling this. Now, onto some phone news. Any word on Samsung's new Galaxy S25?
Rumors are flying that the S25 Slim might not be launching with the rest of the series. No one seems to know why, though.
And what about Apple? They always have something up their sleeve.
They do. Apple's actually stopped selling the iPhone 14, 14 Plus, and the third-gen iPhone SE in most of Europe.
Oh, interesting. Is that because of the USB-C mandate?
Could be. They've also got everyone talking about those leaked details about the iPhone 17's display. Apparently, they're planning some serious upgrades.
Always pushing the tech envelope, those Apple folks. What else is happening?
Well, it seems Apple's feeling the pressure from Huawei over in China. They just launched a promo offering some rare discounts on the iPhone 16.
Makes sense. Competition is fierce. What's happening in the world of AI chips?
Like Biden Co. They supply those chip packages for NVIDIA. You know well. They're thinking about boosting their production even faster.
To keep up with the demand for AI chips.
Yep. The AI boom is keeping everyone busy. Oh, and Kathy Wood, the head of ARK Invest, is feeling super optimistic about 2025.
I love her enthusiasm. What's she excited about?
She's bullish on robotics, energy storage, AI, blockchain, and get this, multiomics.
Multiomics. That sounds intense.
It's basically studying all the different omes in our bodies, like the genome, proteome, all of them to understand how they all work together.
Wow. So it's about getting a much bigger picture of what's going on inside us.
Exactly. And Kathy thinks it's going to revolutionize medicine.
Fascinating. Any updates on Elon Musk and his battle with OpenAI?
There is. A nonprofit called ENCODE just joined Musk's lawsuit, trying to stop OpenAI from going for profit.
Interesting. And what's OpenAI's response to all this?
They've come out and said they're planning to become a Delaware public benefit corporation. Basically, they want to show that they can still do good for the public, even while making money.
Well, that's a tough balance to strike. We'll see how it all plays out.
It's definitely a story worth following. Looks like we're not done with legal troubles just yet. Rosen Law Firm is encouraging investors who bought stock in Passias Group Inc. to join a class action lawsuit.
What's going on with Passias?
The lawsuit claims they were submitting false claims to Medicare, which made their financial results look better than they actually were.
So investors were misled.
That's the idea. And when the truth came out, those investors lost money.
And Rosen Law Firm is involved in another case too, right? Against ASML Holding.
Yep. That lawsuit's alleging that ASML wasn't straight up about how serious their supply chain problems were and how long it'd take for the semiconductor industry to recover.
So again, it's about transparency.
It seems to be a recurring theme. Investors need accurate info to make good decisions. And when that information is missing or misleading, that's when these lawsuits pop up.
Speaking of transparency, remember that EU USB-C mandate we talked about earlier?
Sure do.
Well, Apple's already stopped selling several iPhone models, the 14, 14 Plus, and the 3rd Gen SE in most European countries.
Probably a direct result of that mandate.
Makes sense. Why bother selling phones that don't comply with the rules?
No.
But hey, at least there are rumors about some big display upgrades coming in the iPhone 17 series.
Always got to stay ahead of the game. And remember, Kathy Wood, the investor we mentioned before, she's really excited about the future of robotics and energy storage.
And multi-omics, right?
Oh, yeah, that too. For those who don't know, multi-MX is all about studying all the different systems in our bodies at once.
Instead of just focusing on one thing at a time.
Exactly. It's like looking at the entire orchestra, not just one instrument. And it has the potential to totally change how we approach medicine and healthcare.
Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But now back to something a little less optimistic, OpenAI and that whole for-profit transition.
Yeah, a lot of folks are still concerned about that, especially Elon Musk.
He's even part of a lawsuit trying to block it, isn't he?
He is. He's worried that focusing on profit will mean OpenAI won't be as focused on developing AI safely and ethically.
And it's a valid concern. We've got to be really careful about how AI develops and who controls it.
Absolutely. But OpenAI says they're committed to doing good, even while making money. They're planning to become a Delaware public benefit corporation, which means they have to consider the interests of the public, not just their shareholders.
We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Now, switching gears to some international news, business headline Hindi has been doing incredibly well.
Over 1,000 readers already, and they just started. It's great to see them providing accessible information in Hindi.
And they're not just focusing on business news. They've expanded their team and are partnering with medical professionals to cover health and mental health topics too.
It's a smart move. People need reliable information, especially with all the changes happening in the world.
It's a good reminder that behind all these headlines, there are real people whose lives are being affected by these events. Okay, ready for another round of tech news?
Hit me a bit.
That EU USB-C mandate is officially in effect.
Knew that was coming. Wonder how many people are scrambling for adapters right now.
And remember that Cyberhaven security breach we talked about?
The one with their Chrome extension? Yeah, what about it?
Well, it turns out hackers used that breach to steal passwords and other sensitive information.
Oof, that's not good. This is why you got to be so careful about what you install.
Speaking of security concerns, the TikTok saga continues. President-elect Trump is asking the Supreme Court to hold off on that law that could ban TikTok in the U.S.
He's really not giving up on that, huh?
Nope. But meanwhile, Venezuela just fined TikTok $10 million for allegedly not controlling those dangerous viral challenges.
So, different approaches around the world. What else is happening?
Well, those rumors about Samsung delaying the Galaxy S25 Slim?
Yeah.
Seems like they might be true.
Interesting. No one knows why, though. Maybe production issues.
Maybe. Apple is also shaking things up, stopping sales of certain iPhone models in Europe because of that USB-C mandate.
And don't forget about those leaked details about the iPhone 17's display. Supposedly some major improvements coming.
They're always innovating over there at Apple. And with Huawei breathing down their necks in China, they've even started offering discounts on the iPhone 16.
Competition is heating up. What's the latest in the world of AI chips?
Biden, that company that supplies chip parts to NVIDIA, is thinking about expanding their production even faster.
Gotta keep up with the AI boom.
And speaking of AI, Kathy Wood is super optimistic about 2025. She's predicting big advancements in robotics, energy storage, and even multi-omics.
Multi-omics is gonna be huge. It's gonna change how we understand our own bodies.
Exciting times. Oh, and remember that legal battle over OpenAI's shift to a for-profit model?
Yeah, Elon Musk is still fighting it.
Well, now a nonprofit called Encode has joined his lawsuit trying to prevent that transition.
So it's getting even more complicated.
And OpenAI is pushing back, saying they're going to become a Delaware public benefit corporation. They want to prove they can make money and still do good for the world.
It's a balancing act, that's for sure. We'll have to see what happens.
Wow, that was a lot to take in. So much going on in the financial world.
It really is. Always something new happening.
What story stood out to you the most today?
Honestly, the passing of Amit Yoran, he was such a huge figure in cybersecurity, a real pioneer. It's a big loss for the industry.
Yeah, it's a reminder that behind all the headlines and stock prices, there are real people who are making a difference.
Definitely. But on a more positive note, I loved hearing Kathy Wood's predictions for 2025. She's so optimistic about the future with all the advancements in robotics and energy storage and what was it called?
Multiomics.
Multiomics, yeah. It's such a fascinating concept.
It's like unlocking the secrets of our own biology. What
Like
about you?
it.
What stuck with you?
I keep thinking about that OpenAI situation. It's raising some really big questions about the ethics of AI development, especially now that they're going for profit.
It's a tricky one.
Mhm.
AI has so much potential, but we need to make sure it's used for good, not just for profit.
Exactly. And that's going to require a lot of careful thought and discussion.
For sure. And that's what we try to do here,
Yeah.
right? Break down these complex issues and have these important conversations.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep asking those tough questions.
And make smart financial decisions. That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us on the Daily Financial News Roundup.
We'll see you back here tomorrow with more news and analysis.